we have to think about how we can create more technology that gives people access to data. Imagine listing, right? Google. Do you know how Google uses it's like a business model? If you pay more, you'll be the first.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same on Facebook. It's the same on Instagram, other platforms. The same modus operandi. Imagine I'm a landlord, a minor landlord with 2 or 3 rental units, 2 or 3 units. I'm not able to pay a lot to be the first one on Google, right? That's that thing. I will have to figure out with universities, not with the private sector, but because I think that won't happen, but with universities and research centers, work with applied research and try to develop new technologies that will give voices to people, right? Or make it more equitable, make it more even. Because with the technology, the models we have now, that's not even, right? That's not even, because that's not fair. If I have more money, they have more money, I will be the first. Otherwise, nobody will gonna just hear about me, hear about the units I have. So I truly believe that you have to work with this type of a different network, different technology, different algorithms that will give people more transparency and access. If they have access to the data, if they have access to the other listing that's not like the same listing that Google and Facebook is providing, so it can change. It can start changing, right? But again, I see we have to, for example, Leilani, she has an amazing project that's Shift, right? The Shift. Maybe we can work together and go to a university and just show this, present this problem. Let's work together to make this shift, this technological shift. We have to do a technological shift.
Yeah. So what will housing be in an equitable future?
Well, I mean, there's an answer to that has nothing to do with technology necessarily. I mean, I could just answer, what a human rights-based housing system looks like. And then, maybe Merson could talk about how technology fits in with that or doesn't fit in with that. But one thing for sure is we can't continue to see the cost of housing escalating, right? Rents increasing. And Merson already said that they're using the technology to figure out how much they can raise rents based on, for example, fear factor, right? And as you said, Adam, desperation, right? And so we need a system where rents don't escalate and where rents are commensurate with household income. Well, we don't live in that system right now, right? We live in a system where we have weak tenant protections that allow landlords to raise rents. Even in jurisdictions where there's a cap, there are go-arounds on those caps. Above guideline rent increases is what they're called in this country. So we need to get a handle on that. We need to actually have governments intervene in the market. And that's like dirty words, right? Those are dirty words. Those are contrary to the neoliberal state that has been established here in Canada. We're one of the most neoliberal states around where housing is concerned, especially. And so we need to undo some of the very structures of our economy. If you look at where economic growth comes from in this country in the last few years, a huge amount of it is coming from housing transactions, renovations, construction, etc. And an economy that's basing its growth on housing is an economy that is not working for tenants or for low-income, wannabe homeowners, etc. And so, like, what we're talking about is like quite a fundamental change. Part of the problem is investors will say, well, look, there's more money floating around than ever before, and we need a place to park our money. And what are my options? Do I want them to park their money in oil and gas? Well, obviously not, right? We've got a climate emergency. And so what they say is the green alternative to oil and gas is real estate. I mean, it's which is remarkable because real estate, of course, is a big contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. 36% or something like that. So it's actually a false thing. But there is a way in which technology could bring us back to the tenant experience or the individual experience of housing. All that data that's being mined for fear factor could be mined to determine how to be a better landlord, right? Where tenants are saying, oh my God, I'm going to be reno-evicted, a huge problem in this country, especially with our older housing stock, right? Landlords just using it as an opportunity to reposition buildings to turn what might be affordable to the people living there now into something that would become unaffordable to those people. You could use data to inform landlord practices, is what I mean to say. But there's so many ways in which technology is already being used to their advantage. I think some of it we just simply have to make unallowable. I don't know if it happens here, but in the United States, Zillow is known. It's a platform and a data company, and they're known to give pre-releases to the big private equity firms and those that the developers, et cetera, who acquire housing. They give them pre-listings basically so that they can intervene in the market and gobble up things that we wouldn't even know were on the market or that a government wouldn't know is on the market, because one of the things we want is maybe for governments to start acquiring buildings rather than having these big corporate and financial actors buying them. But with technology, they're unable to do that because they don't know what's coming to market. There's this sort of inside scoop, and maybe Mederson knows more about that than I do, probably. But I have read a few articles about that. There's other uses of technology that are undermining housing, right? Like you can sit on your phone and buy shares in a real estate investment trust. You're just sitting here in my home. I can own a property in California or a piece of a property in California. I saw during the pandemic, homes were being auctioned in Greece. Investors were buying them from Russia, from other parts of Europe, from Canada, from the United States, just sitting in their homes, right? Not going anywhere. We could make all of that illegal and non-viable. But we haven't. And that's, of course, the work of maybe Mederson and the Shift together. Maybe that's what we need to do. But the vision that I have, sorry, I'm going on a bit, but the vision I have is one where housing is simply treated as a social good, as a human right, as a place that's very important to human well-being and participatory democracy. And until governments get their heads around that and lead with that vision, right? They need to lead the private market and technology in that direction. That's the role of government. They're the ones with human rights obligations that they've signed, legally committed themselves to. So for me, that's the vision.